Follow workplace safety procedures in the security industry. In this competency, you will learn the following. Follow OHS policies and procedures. HAZCAM. Deal with emergency situations. Follow OHS policies and procedures. Potential hazards need to be identified and recognised in relation to legislative requirements such as duty of care and OHS issue resolution. You'll need to use your observational skills, awareness and discussions with colleagues to identify and control potential hazards, which may cause harm or injury to both yourself and your colleagues. This must be done according to your organisational procedures for controlling risks. For example, complying with safe operating procedures for equipment used in your workplace. These may include wet floors where people could slip, broken glass where someone could cut themselves on, or faulty or damaged electrical equipment where people could be electrocuted or injured. All these hazards should be cleaned up, removed, or steps taken to minimise the risk until permanent repairs or fixes can be made. Chemicals. There are dozens of chemical substances which are used or produced in the workplace and at home. Many of these substances can be hazardous to your health and safety. Any risk present in the workplace must be assessed. Either eliminate the hazards or provide suitable means and training for protecting anyone who might be affected by them. Your employer is responsible to make sure that you are informed of any hazards, understand the risks, and are trained in the precautions to be taken. Now, what are your responsibilities? First of all, you must ensure that you follow your employer safety plan and all operating procedures. You must also adhere to all codes of conduct that may apply to your workplace. Warning labels are one of your most important tools. The label must state the following: the identity of the substance, a prominent warning symbol, and an indication of the general nature of any risk involved in using the product, its transport and storage. A skull and crossbones indicates the substance is toxic. This means that the contents of the container present a serious risk to your health. They may cause immediate or long-term health problems or even death. A black X is a warning that the substance is either harmful or an irritant. Harmful means it may involve limited health risks. Irritants can cause inflammation of the skin, or the vapors can damage mucous membranes. A corrosive is a substance that can destroy living tissue on contact. As you can see from the symbol, it can also damage other materials. This is the symbol for an explosive substance. This indicates a serious risk of fire. The substance may range from flammable, highly flammable, or extremely flammable. This symbol means the substance is an oxidizing agent. It will support combustion readily. In contact with other substances, especially those that are flammable, it will also add to the likelihood or intensity of a fire. If you discover an unfamiliar symbol, word or phrase, ask your supervisor what it means. HAZCAM. Hazard identification systems you may need to understand: safety data sheets, charts, operating procedures, and HAZCAM placards. By law, HAZCAM placards must be placed on buildings housing or storing hazardous chemicals, and also on vehicles used to transport chemicals. The object of this signage is to warn and inform people of their potential danger. But most importantly, HAZCAM placards give guidance to those who need to contain or fight any fire or spillage. This is the HAZCAM scale for fire or spillage. The sign gives guidance to you and the combating authorities, such as the fire brigade, the appropriate method of fighting or containing the chemicals or substances as indicated. Number 1 means jets of water can be used. Number 2 means that fog equipment should be used, and if fog equipment is not available, a fine spray may be used. Number 3 is when foam is required. Number 4 is dry chemical. In the case of number 4, water may not be allowed to come in contact with the substance at risk. The large letters that are shadowed in or have shaded backgrounds indicate the containment and protective equipment required in an emergency situation. For example, a shaded T means breathing apparatus is required and the substance can be washed down the drain with considerable amounts of water. A shadowed T will only need breathing apparatus if the substance is burning. V indicates the substance can be volatile or even explosively reactive. Full means full body protective clothing with breathing apparatus must be worn. BA indicates breathing apparatus plus protective gloves. E means consider evacuation. Dilute means the substance may be washed down a drain with large quantities of water. Contain means prevent by any means available the spillage from entering drains or water courses. Here we have a typical HAZChem sign. This is how you read it. This is the name of the substance, in this case petrol. This symbol means it is a flammable liquid. This number tells you what to use if the substance ignites. In the case 3 means foam may be used. This letter gives advice on protective clothing and handling strategies. A Y with a shaded background means that the liquid is volatile or explosively reactive. Breathing apparatus and gloves must be used when the substance is on fire and any spillage must be contained. E means consider evacuation. This is the United Nations Chemical Code number. Look for an example sign in your workbook and complete the exercise. Noise.
Another health and safety hazard is noise. Prolonged exposure to certain frequencies at higher levels can cause gradual but permanent damage to your ability to hear. Brief exposure to very loud sounds can also cause hearing loss.
One of the most effective types of hearing protectors are earmuffs, which are completely enclosed around the outer ear. For hearing protectors to provide maximum protection, they must be worn correctly. An alternative to earmuff protectors are ear plugs. Only products specifically designed for hearing protection should be used. Ordinary cotton and paper tissue provide no protection and should not be used. Maximum protection can be achieved in very noisy situations by using both plugs and earmuffs. The type of ear protection best suited to your own work area depends on the noise levels present. In industrial environments, a sign like this will appear when hearing protection is recommended. If unsure what noise protection is required, consult your supervisor. All work must be conducted using safe operating procedures such as OHS and emergency procedures, remaining vigilant and aware while at work, and risk and hazard recognition. Your workplace will have specific procedures and documents for reporting OHS information. This can be anything from application of first aid, emergency evacuation response, or restraint and apprehension of persons. In the event of an OHS incident, you must be aware of what procedures and accompanying documentation you must complete. Make sure you're familiar with any additional requirements of your workplace. Deal with emergency situations.
In security situations, these dangers may not be as obvious as in most workplaces. Take these glass bottles left outside a hotel. They pose a potential hazard as they could be accidentally smashed, maliciously broken, or even used as a weapon. If you observe such a potential hazard, you should simply place them in a bin prior to any problem arising. This makes the area look cleaner and safer. Also, it gives you a chance to patrol your environment. Now let's look at this shopping trolley. Although it may be used as a weapon, it is more likely to be played with by intoxicated patrons. Therefore, when you see items which could become a potential safety hazard, remove them, make the area safe, and put them away from excited patrons.
Be sure to notify your colleagues and supervisor of such incidents. If any emergency procedures are required, such as evacuation and request for backup, these must always be followed correctly within the limits of your own authority. Remember not to attempt anything that is outside the scope of your role and training. You must identify your own personal limitations and request for backup or further instructions if a situation escalates beyond your own ability. For example, do not attempt to provide first aid to a person if you are not trained in that area. Instead, check if anyone in the workplace is trained in first aid, and then call 000 and follow the instructions from the relevant persons until further help arrives. If you are involved in a workplace incident, make sure you accurately complete the relevant documentation and reports in accordance with organisational procedures and legislative requirements. This can be anything from fire, theft or use of weapons. Maintain participation in workplace safety. All safety issues should be reported to your supervisor and a written report must be made. All states have various laws covering workplace health and safety. These may include occupational health and safety legislation, but also may include liquor control laws, crime acts, and even building regulations. An Occupational Health and Safety Act exists in most states and are very similar. Employers' duties. It places an onus on the employer to provide and maintain safe systems at work, provide a workplace that is safe and without risk to health, provide information, instruction, training and supervision so that workers may safely carry out their duties. Employees' duties. It places an onus on the worker to be mindful of their own and others' health and safety, not willfully or recklessly interfere with anything that may affect health and safety, not willfully place at risk the health and safety of any person, including independent contractors and their employees. Designated work groups. Employees or employers may establish designated work groups, also known as DWGs or safety committees. The idea of a DWG is to group the people working in an establishment into similar work patterns or functions. The key feature of a DWG is the flexibility, formation and operation. It gives both employers and employees the ability to determine a system of representation most suited to the individual workplace situation. Once a DWG is established, a member of the group can be selected as a health and safety representative. You should check to see who is the health and safety representative in your workplace. The contribution to enhance or improve the organisation's or site's occupational health and safety should be communicated directly to your employer via the occupational health and safety representative or through the DWG. The main objective of the health and safety representative is to consult with the employer about health and safety issues that have or may arise. Any party may report a matter to the relevant state authorities. However, it's best to endeavour to solve matters via consultation. More information on occupational health and safety can be obtained through guides issued by the Health and Safety Organisation in your state. Make sure you always keep your OHS knowledge up to date with current legislation and practices. This can be done through continual assessment and review. Feedback should be sought from your colleagues to help identify any areas of your knowledge or skills which may require improvement. This might involve formal or informal research or updating your first aid training to meet with current legislation.